Hey everyone. So it's been really interesting energies out there because for me, for the first time, I felt them being intense. Not the first time I felt them intense, but intense in the fact that in a good way. Like they feel really intense, but I'm handling them, right? Because before, like literally the past 4.5, 5 years, like I would gradually feel the energies increasing. Like you can feel them increasing over time. And this has to happen that way. Like we have to evolve in that way. The human body and the human mass consciousness literally has to do this gradually. So, anyways, I'm feeling this intense, but this is the first time that I felt them really intense. And I feel like I'm grounded in this frequency that's surfing the waves pretty well. And it's feeling really good. And I even looked at Lance and I was like, I hate to be the one to say this, but I'm that person. Because I see every perspective. Like I see the worst, but I also see the best, you know? And I was like, I hate to be that person that says, like, is the shoe gonna drop or the ball gonna drop or whatever the saying is? Like, oh shit, like things have been too good for a long time now. Well, like in the grand scheme of things, like weeks now, it feels like things have been really good. And so, I don't want to be, but I'm still grounded in reality. I'm still grounded in the fact that I'm human, and contrast is a part of this experience, something that we should actually like embrace when it comes into our space, because we know the universe is asking us if we're ready to level up again, if we're ready to learn a lesson, if we're ready to squash a cycle, if we're ready to elevate our frequency. So, yeah, it's a lot to it, but once you start seeing the simplicity in it, is because you're becoming more present. So, anyways, today I was like, okay, maybe I should like give myself a little rest, because right now I feel like I'm pushing myself too much to do stuff, when like stuff that I don't have to do immediately, when my body's kind of telling me to like chill out, because I've been going to the gym on top of doing everything I normally do anyways. So I was like, okay, today I'll just throw some laundry in, throw something in the crock pot for dinner, like make it a chill day. Still go to the gym, but ride the bike and read a book, like that. So that's what I'm getting in my mind. And I just like sat down and started folding some laundry that I had cleaned. And I put on some meditation music, and then I just stopped folding laundry, and I was just like sitting there. And I had cut a bowl of oranges for myself just to have a little snack, because I didn't want to like eat yet. And I was just like sitting there listening to the music. And then I picked up the bowl of oranges and I just like brought it close to my face and just like smelled them. And they smelled so good. And I was like, oh, because I was like starting to do this breathing and stuff in my meditation. I was like, I'm bringing the oranges in, like into the mix. So, and I wasn't really consciously like, I'm doing this next. It was just like happening organically, right? So with every deep breath I take, I'm breathing in the oranges. I just have like my face over the bowl, and I'm just breathing in it. And I'm just like, this is how we're supposed to pray for our food. Like this deep gratitude and appreciation and just presence. You know what I mean? Presence is how you appreciate things. Presence is how you feel gratitude for things. And I was just coming into these epiphanies in this moment that just kind of happened. I was actually intending on just folding clothes. But then I was like, oh, this music feels so good. I'm just going to lay back and kind of lean back a little and just kind of listen to it. And then I was like, I had this urge to smell oranges. It just kind of happened. But then it brought me to this epiphany, like, whoa, like this is what life's about, like slowing down and bringing in that gratitude. And like prayer is such a beautiful thing. Like when we are grateful for our food or water or whatever, before we consume it and put it into our bodies, it's like we get to choose what frequency we put that food in, or that water. We get to choose. We can interact with it. We can set this intention. We can become very present, right? And that presence is where you start, because you're noticing everything. And once you get really present and you start noticing everything, you see so many things to appreciate. And then like for me, it was just like, I didn't even have to eat the orange to appreciate it. I was just smelling it, right? And it was bringing this, like it was elevating my frequency. I could just feel it. And it was bringing appreciation. And it was like, then once I ate it, it was just like that orange was embodying this like insane frequency because of my presence and gratitude with it. And so I'm having all these like epiphanies, and then I was like, started to, because once I start having them, I'll just start writing things down. And so I started writing things down. And of course, I wanted to share it with you guys because I felt like it was just like totally something that we can all benefit from. Like we can all benefit from more gratitude because that's how we expand in our heart. And like when we're in our hearts, that's when we're connected to source. That's when we can really co-create with the universe. So why not practice through these small divine rituals, just being grateful before you eat something? Don't overthink about how healthy it is for you or where it was grown. Like, just like forget all that. Just think about how you're grateful that you have something to eat, right? And then like once you become more conscious, you start making these decisions where what you are eating, you become even more grateful for it because you grew it. You know what was in even the fertilizer of what was grown. And you know what I mean? And that's like, the more we open up to that, the more sovereign we become, the more self-sufficient we become, the more grateful we become. And it just keeps expanding and the momentum is growing in that direction. Am I even there yet? No. Like, and it's not about getting to some destination. It's just about being present. And that presence will bring you and evolve and build momentum into everything that you desire. And the universe knows what you appreciate because you're being present and appreciative in those moments, which then in turns, what you put out is what you get back. So you're appreciating the universe, which is everything in your present moment, right? This book, whatever it is, appreciating it, a piece of food, whatever it is. And the universe is seeing how appreciative you are and like, oh, you love that? Like, I'm going to give you more of that because that's what you're giving to me. You're appreciating me. So I appreciate you. You see this like beautiful give and take, this beautiful reciprocity. That's what we want in relationships. That's what we want in life in general, right? So if we can just do that with the simple things, we'll start to generate this frequency that makes it just fall into our life. It makes it just be a magnet to our life because that's what we're doing. That's what we're walking in each present moment, is in this appreciation and gratitude. And there's more to it because people are like, oh, that's just spiritual bypassing. But when you're present and you're like the observer, like those spiritual bypassing would be having an attachment that you haven't let go of yet and pretending it's not there or just trying to be positive all the time. But when you're really present and you're the observer, you can't even have an attachment because you've stepped outside of it. You're looking at it like, ooh, like I get to choose how I want to act, what I want to say in this moment, how I want to respond. And it's like only an attachment if you respond in the same old ways with the same old cycles. But if you're observing it and you're choosing not to respond in that way, it's not an attachment anymore. It's something that you've resolved. It's something that you've healed, and now you're not allowing the ego to be in the driver's seat when those scenarios come up. So I'm going to read what I got in my meditation today. And yeah, we'll just go from there. If you want to experience life, you've got to slow down. Notice all of the subtle things. So, and then I was talking about how I meditated on that bowl of oranges today. How beautiful it is to deeply appreciate and experience things. Adding divine rituals of gratitude are deeply satisfying because the universe appreciates you right back. You're putting out the gratitude and it will respond every time. You start to see just how deep that love of the universe can go. It is a deep, indescribable amount of love emanating from you, created by you. When you decide to slow down, noticing everything, attached to nothing, observing, looking for things to appreciate, and they are easy to find. If you have the eyes to see, it's a frequency. Tune into that frequency and you will find an infinite amount of things to appreciate. It's difficult to tune into that frequency when we carry a lot of attachments. Attachments are like heavy baggage. All of your attachment baggage stacked up in front of you so you can't even see. Get the attachments out of your way. Start clearing that attachment that's in your face. Now you can see. Eventually, you'll get to releasing the attachment baggage that's in front of your feet. When you start to walk, life is going to get scary because you finally left your comfort zone. But life is also going to start getting really good simultaneously. You take your darkness and tell it that it will no longer be in charge anymore. In presence, in the moment, I will slow down and observe. I will consciously act and use my words. This is my power. My power is to be completely present. And that's what came through after I did that meditation with the oranges. And I was like, wow, like, first of all, the last thing on my mind was to like just get a message out today. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. And that's just how spirit comes through. Like that's that detachment. It's like, I'm not gonna obsess over when I'm gonna do things. I'm just gonna be present and it organically unfold. And that's the whole message. That's the whole message in itself. Being present is all you have to do. Because when you're present, you're not attached to things. Presence is being that observer. Presence is like looking at things for like what they are from every angle and then deciding, being slowing down, not reacting, right? Slowing down, observing, deciding how you want to respond. Like, I love the energy of calm people, like calm people who like you see them sitting there in a conversation and you're just watching them and they're never quick to say something. They sit and when they do say something, it's something wise, it's something thought through, it's something that is like considerate of every timeline. That there is such a humble, confident, sovereign energy to that like, especially us talkative kinds of people who just have so much running through our brains and we have so much to say, like we have a lot to learn from that energy. Not that we want to embody something that we're not, because some of us are like those voice boxes and we can get a message out and we can like convey it in a way that's simpler to understand, because a lot of these concepts, quantum concepts, are kind of like crazy to think after we've been programmed, like thinking this program is reality, right? So now you're introducing this whole new thing, and sometimes it's not easy to understand, and we need voice boxes out there who can just like lay it out in a way that's relatable. So it doesn't mean like don't be that person if that's who you came to be, but it's saying like if you are that person, maybe be a little more conscious of like what your intentions are. And when you're present, like just like when I was like meditating with the oranges, it was like a prayer almost. It was like this gratitude before I was going to eat something. And it was me setting that intention. And that's what I do before I even give a message. Like I could have the whole thing written out, but I'm still going to go into this space of connecting with spirit. You can call it prayer, you can call it whatever you want to call it, and set the intention before I come on here. Protect this space, the whole thing. Protect anybody who listens to this message is in a protective space, because I did that. I protected the space before I even turned the camera on, because I want to set my intention, right? And I have that gratitude before I even turn the camera on. And that's what was like, dang, like I really got to be more present every time I consume something, because I don't always take that time before I eat something to have that gratitude. And I like felt such an epiphany today when I was doing that. I was like, wow, like this is something I need. This ritual of gratitude is something I need to bring into my life in so many different ways. And it was like, when my kids were a lot littler, I dipped into homeschooling a little bit. And one of the things that, because I was researching all over the place, that all the different kinds of ways you can just, every kid is different, blah, blah, blah. Like you really just researching your ass off to figure out how you can do this the best way. It ends up being overwhelming. But anyways, like there was a mom on there that had this idea, which was like having, what is it called when you have like this intention you set as a group? It's called something, like something statement, mission statement, kind of like that, but as like a family, right? And it was such a good idea. And then I was like, whoa, like I was talking to Lance about it. I was like, we could do like a family prayer. Like, so this is what we say together. This is how we set our intention before a meal. But I think sometimes when you get too ritual, then the intention, like, and you don't put that emotion, like, even when I was like with the oranges, I was like bringing in my sense of smell, right? And it was like the more senses you bring into it, the more present you get, the more gratitude that you build for it, right? So when you kind of get this thing that you say every single time, like, you have to make sure that your heart is still open. Your intention is still there, right? Because that frequency is feeling, like, it's how we feel. So when you repeat something over and over again, it can lose its oomph if you're not putting it there, right? If you're not putting that intention and that energy in gratitude and all that into it. So, like, that's just some things to think about. And I wanted to share those epiphanies I had today. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your Wednesday, and I will talk to you next time.